So we had done cyclic and non-cyclic, and today I'll be now going into a little bit more detail about cyclic and non-cyclic, especially regarding the photolysis of water, basically, right? Acha. अब इसमें क्या होता है कि you have to understand that when we talk about non-cyclic, right, we say that the light is falling on 680, right? And as soon as it falls on 680, it oxidizes the chlorophyll over here, due to which these 4 electrons are released. ठीक है, oxidation हो रही है chlorophyll. So if constantly light is constantly falling on P680 and repetitively 4 electrons are being released, okay, so that they are accepted by an electron acceptor very soon. So a time will come when photosystem 2 will be completely, what do you say, devoid of electrons. There will be a complete lack of electrons over here. So there has to be a mechanism.
Miss, will it be lack of electrons or lack of energy in the electron? Like
basically lack of electrons. Energy, एक ही बात है ना? It's one and the same thing. So
sorry,
constantly constantly the light is falling. So of course, eventually there will be a time when the electrons, there will be no more electrons over here. या फिर हम ये कह सकते हैं there will be a time when all the entire chlorophyll has been maximally oxidized. So there's no more chlorophyll for oxidation. ठीक है, electrons का loss हुआ है over here. There's a loss of 4 electrons every time the light is falling on photosystem 2. So we need to replace those electrons, and the replacement of the electrons is done through the photolysis of water. So it's actually the photons of light which are falling onto the photosystem 2, which result in the removal of the electrons from over here. And then it's very clearly shown over here. I'll just zoom into this. 4 electrons have been released over here, and then 4 electrons are constantly being supplied by the photolysis of water. Okay? So water is being split also by the presence of photons of light. Every time 2 water molecules are split, 4 electrons are released, and these electrons are going to be constantly replaced by the photolysis of water into photosystem 2. Okay? But when this happens, we have oxygen gas also which is released, and we have 4 protons which are also released, these protons. Okay? And it is these protons which will, what will they do? You tell me. What will these protons do?
Wait, not photon, miss, you're saying hydrogen, Joanna, proton. Those will then combine with the electrons from the electron acceptor to then form NADPH.
So this means that जैसे होता था ना cellular respiration में कि dehydrogenation होती थी ना, ठीक है? यहाँ पे भी एक तरह की dehydrogenation ही हो रही है, but then what are we doing? Where are we loading these hydrogens? वहाँ पे NAD load करता था ना, यहाँ पे NADP load कर रहा है, ठीक है? And NADP will be converted to NADPH by the addition of these 4 hydrogens. अच्छा, अब आती है technical बात, कौन सी? कि students they fail to understand कि ये वाले 4 electrons कहाँ से आए? Let me ask you a question. Can you suggest where did these 4 electrons come from? ये वाले जो इधर नजर आ रहा है.
Photosystem 1, right? So the photosystem. So then from basically what happens is from the electron acceptor X, the electrons jump along the electron transport chain, right? And the addition of ADP and inorganic phosphate forms ATP along this process. And the electrons then, as they keep jumping, they keep losing energy until they reach photosystem 1. The photons then activated of the photon of light then activate or transfer energy. Okay, so the photons of light then activate the electrons, which then allow them to then boost up to the electron acceptor Y. Then these 4 electrons then will move along the electron transport chain and then combine with the protons and NADP plus, which will then form NADPH and 2H plus.
Okay, you've explained it really very well. Now comes the last thing which I did not explain it to you that day, which is exactly the same as it happens on the Christie. Kaise? If you remember कि Christie पे when we were doing the synthesis of ATP, ठीक है, थोड़ा सा cellular respiration पे जाते हैं, ठीक है? Cellular respiration में क्या था कि there was a mitochondrial membrane shown, ठीक है? ऐसे करके वो membrane show हुई थी, ठीक है? Like this. और उस membrane पे क्या था? You had those ETC. ठीक है, ऐसे ही था। और फिर यहाँ पे एक स्टॉक पार्टिकल था, वाज लाइक दिस। अच्छा, यहाँ पे क्या थी, इंटरमेम्ब्रेनस स्पेस थी इधर, जहाँ पे कौन से आयंस बिल्डअप हो रहे थे, व्हाट वर दोस आयंस?
H plus ions, ना जो promotive force हो रही थी
H
बड़ी।
प्लस, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल H प्लस आयंस हो रहे थे, ठीक है, दे वर accumulating over here। अच्छा, एंड NADH आ रहा था, यहाँ पे अपने हाइड्रोजन्स लेके आ रहा था, एंड दे वर हाइड्रोजन एटम्स वर बीइंग स्प्लिट इनटू H प्लस आयंस एंड इलेक्ट्रॉन्स, और इलेक्ट्रॉन्स जो है वो जंप कर रहे थे। अच्छा, जब इलेक्ट्रॉन्स जंप कर रहे थे, तो द जंपिंग ऑफ द इलेक्ट्रॉन्स and the repeated redox reaction was giving energy. I'm talking about cellular respiration right now, right? Energy which will pump these protons from the matrix into the intermembranous space. ऐसे ही हो रहा था ना?
Yes.
ऐसे ही हो रहा था। अच्छा, फिर ये उस इलेक्ट्रॉन्स की एनर्जी से ये यहाँ पे सब जमा हो गए। अब जब जमा हो गए, so what I told you at that time was, I said कि there is a gradient of H plus ions which is created in the intermembranous space, but the cristae, which is the inner mitochondrial membrane, is impermeable to H plus ions. यही बोला था मैंने। So now
Yes.
what is the only way by means of which कैसे
Carrier
आएंगे H
protein,
plus ions अंदर?
carrier protein from the
चैनल
stock.
प्रोटीन से आएंगे। दैट, हाँ, वो चैनल प्रोटीन बीच में लगी हुई है, तो अब H प्लस आयंस अंदर आ गए, ठीक है। दे कम इनसाइड, and when they move inside, they give it a proton motive force to whom, to this stock particle कि वो रोटेट करे, और जब वो उस प्रोटॉन मोटिव फोर्स से रोटेट करेगा, तो यहाँ पे क्या शो हुआ था आपकी बुक में? there was a reaction shown and that was ADP plus inorganic phosphate leads to ATP। यही शो हुआ था ना, ऐसे ही हुआ था। the same thing happens over here, जो मैंने बताई नहीं थी, but टेक्स्ट बुक्स नहीं बताते, but टेक्स्ट बुक्स थिंक कि टीचर्स ने पहले से ही समझाया होगा, because it implies that you've already been explained about the details of this. So let me go to this part. I did not share this slide with you yesterday. Yesterday I had only shown you this one, simple बता दी थी, ताकि आपको समझ तो आए, है ना? अगर yesterday if I would have brought these details, so you would have been totally confused.
Exactly,
Now that you know what cyclic and non-cyclic is, let's move to this and let's see what have I written. अब इसको आप देखो।
Okay, so some of the electrons' energy is used to pump H plus ions across the thylakoid membrane, so that H plus accumulation in the lumen of the thylakoid. So basically, it's the same process that happened in our mitochondria, ना कि intermembranous space में वो pump हो रहे थे, इस बार अब बस हम thylakoid membrane में, अब ये lumen में accumulate हो रहे हैं, right? So yes, this will then create as promotive force because there's an electron.
Just stop.
Yeah.
These are thylakoids, है ना?
Yeah.
ये सारे मतलब one of them is a thylakoid, तो this is the thylakoid membrane, ठीक है। और ये जो है वो हो गई आपकी thylakoid space। तो ये जो आपके वो लगे हुए हैं ना, क्या कहते हैं, स्टॉक पार्टिकल और ETC, ये सब इधर मेम्ब्रेन पे लगे हुए हैं, फोटोसिंथेटिक पिगमेंट सब कुछ लगे हुए हैं, जहाँ पे पंप हो रहे हैं ना H plus ions, they are being pumped into this space, ठीक है। Imagine like this, and now read it once again.
So yeah. So some of the electrons' energy is used to pump the H plus ions across the thylakoid membrane, so that H plus accumulation in the lumen of the thylakoid. Okay, that makes sense. So then this will then create a proton motive force because an electrochemical gradient has been generated, which will then lead to the production of ATP. Acha, so that basically explains how that ADP and addition of inorganic phosphate is then leading to that like production of ATP, right? So that's due to chemiosmosis. So yeah. So H plus moves down.
हाँ, ठीक है, same to same, ditto copy. अच्छा, but you have to remember that when we were doing all this, when we were on the mitochondria, the cristae, we were calling it oxidative phosphorylation. ठीक है? We can also call this oxidative phosphorylation because technically oxidation reduction ही हो रही है, but since all this happens only in the presence of sunlight, so we call it what? Photophosphorylation.
Phosphorylation. अच्छा, क्योंकि light energy is being used, right? सही है, I get it.
Exactly. And then what do? We don't stop here. We call it non-cyclic photophosphorylation, ठीक है, और cyclic photophosphorylation। समझ आ गई बात?
बिल्कुल perfect समझ आ गई।
ठीक है, अच्छा, and that's why we say non-cyclic photophosphorylation is also known as a Z scheme because it's in the shape of Z, ये Z बनाया, अगर इसको उल्टा करके देखो, ठीक है, साइक्लिक यहाँ से शुरू हुआ, फिर यहाँ आया, फिर वापस, अगेन फिर आया, फिर वापस, एंड दिस गोज ऑन, दिस इज साइक्लिक. अच्छा, another name for non-cyclic is also unidirectional flow of electrons, isn't it? The electrons are flowing in only one direction. It's not bi-direction. है नहीं.
Wait.
एक ही डायरेक्शन में जा रहे हैं, यहाँ गए, फिर इधर गए, फिर इधर गए, फिर इधर आ गए.
Yeah, but उसके अंदर loop हो रहा है cyclic में ना.
Exactly. Over there's a loop.
Hence the name
Now,
cyclic as well, right? So that makes sense.
Hence the name this. Now I'll share a question with you, and then let's see if you can answer that. ठीक है? इतना आसान नहीं है वैसे ये question, so
आप तो difficulty question दे.
So we had actually given this in one of the tests. So this is basically okay. Let's do this. Let's do this together.
मैं आप test जैसे मुश्किल बना देंगे.
Not that difficult and not that easy also. We have to make it according to the standards. You know, difficulty level एक moderate होना चाहिए, so that the student should be ready to do any kind of question.
Good.
Read this question.
Describe the photoactivation. Okay, so
पहले आप diagram को देखो. Diagram is telling you a lot.
Yeah, so describe the photoactivation. Okay, so I basically shows the arrangement of photosystems. Yeah. Protein complexes containing chlorophyll molecules on the thylakoid membrane of the chloroplast. So those are the sites of photoactivation. So these are the membranes. ये हमारा ग्राना सही तो सही site ये this is our photolysis का site of ATP synthesis. Okay, because that's our keyword. Unstacked membrane stroma, that's our stock particle. So that's our ATP synthase, so that's our stock particle, right? Electron transport chain, transfer chain, say photosynthesis. So now when we're describing the photoactivation of chlorophyll, so Miss, how many?
Get the key also, okay?
Yeah, Miss, how many marks is this, by the way?
This is 3 marks. So they don't, they don't expect a lot of detail from you. So keeping in mind, you are just supposed to describe the photoactivation of chlorophyll in 3 points. तो क्या होना चाहिए?
So basically, first I'll start off with. Can I start off with I'll start off with the photosystems, right? So if I start off with, wait, can I start off with if I start off with photosystem 1 and how the photons activate the electrons. Wait. Site of photoactivation. So, Miss, can I start it like that, or would that be wrong?
Yeah, बस try करो. Try करने से ना आपका दिमाग काम करता है.
Yeah, so if I see that from the diagram that I did before, right? So if I say that the photons activate the electrons in photosystem 1, it then gives it a boost to electron acceptor X. The electrons then move along the electron transport chain, where they lose their energy. Where they lose their, they move along the electron transport chain. The addition of ADP in an organic phosphate results in the production of ATP.
Stop here.
This doesn't make sense.
I got you. Stop. You're going the wrong direction, because nobody asked you the details of cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. This is what you're doing actually. You were only asked about the photoactivation of chlorophyll, and look now. Have a look. There is just a minute.
Only the photoactivation of chlorophyll, right? Oh wait,
exactly,
so won't I just talk about like the photosystems itself and how they have Miss उनको क्या उन pieces को क्या कहते थे?
वही जो था ना light accessory pigments और वो.
Yes, we had to talk about our pigments. Yes. Okay, now I understand. And our reaction centers. Okay, now.
Very इतने simple से question को वो कर दिया. अब now just look at these mark points. Simple.
Okay, wait.
Light is falling.
Wait. Miss, can you wait? I'll just screenshot this mark scheme for a second. But can you put the question back up because I want to like redo it, but without looking at the mic.
Okay. Have you screenshotted?
Yeah, I screenshotted it.
Now
Like
I'm going to the question.
I just want to attempt the question without looking at the mic.
There you go.
ये जो है basically I'm gonna have to revise my photo systems. So basically what I can talk about is how our photo system is contains accessory pigments. These accessory pigments absorb light.
Okay.
So when our pigment absorbs this light, it's excited, right? So and then wait, so we have our accessory pigments. When any pigments absorb light, it's said to be excited. Our light energy
will be transferred from the accessory pigments to the
will be transferred to the primary pigment. Or will
exactly,
it
या फिर आप बोलो reaction center. Reaction
Okay.
center है ना primary pigment.
Yeah.
यहाँ पे chlorophyll A पड़ा हुआ है.
Okay, so then
So you
basically I
say
can
that the light
say
is first absorbed.
so the
Yes.
light is then first absorbed by our accessory pigments. The light energy boosts electrons to higher energy levels, and then this activates our primary pigment.
Reaction center. Instead of saying primary pigment, use the word reaction center because
Okay,
that's
this
the
then
key word.
okay, so then this then activates our reaction center, and then that should get like let's look at the marks now. So chlorophyll absorbs mainly red and blue light. Do I have to say? Do I just have to remember that?
Basically जो chlorophyll है ना, not the carotenoids. Chlorophyll का मतलब ये है ना कि green color. तो green color कौन सी sunlight सबसे अच्छी block करेगा? Red and blue ही करेगा ना?
Yeah. Okay. So mainly
green
absorbs
light
red
तो
and blue
reflect
light.
करेगा.
Yeah. So light is absorbed by energy pigments. This then causes electrons to be excited and move to higher energy levels. This then the reaction center is excited. Then our energy is transferred to the reaction center, which is our P700, PS1, PS2, which is like PS1 680 nanometer light absorbed, PS2 700 nanometer.
And if some student wants to write that the electrons are lost from chlorophyll, that's also an acceptable point because देखो बात किसकी हो रही है? The question
What does
was
it mean?
described. क्या चीज?
Yeah, what does this mean? Electron lost from chlorophyll.
This means because if we go back to the question, the wordings of the question were describe the process of photoactivation. So it would not be wrong to say that the loss of electrons from chlorophyll is actually photoactivation.
The loss of electrons from chlorophyll. Okay.
Take a second. Now wait. I'm going back to my slide. Look over here. When the light is falling onto photosystem 1 or to 2, aren't the electrons lost?
Okay, so yeah, I get it. Makes sense. That makes sense.
So the
electrons are then lost.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go back and let's do the difficult.
Okay, miss, I get this. This 3 marker makes sense.
3 marker हो गया, ठीक है. अब इस वाले पे आते हैं. This of course.
This is a photolysis वाला. Explain how the photolysis of water occurs. Okay, so basically हो क्या रहा है is that our H2O is broken up into H plus. So, miss, can you go on? Can you go scroll up a little bit? Achha, so how does a photolysis?
Do you want me to show you the mark scheme?
Explain the photolysis of water.
अभी मैंने बताया था.
हमारा जो मिस जो H plus है that हाँ तो मिस do I have to talk about the promoter force and our gradient? Yeah, like what? But then also वो तो ATP
have to talk about photolysis. नहीं आपको क्या बात करनी है? Let me go here. You have to talk about this.
Yeah, so I have to talk about that breakdown, right, of the H2O.
Exactly.
But then
अब इसमें क्या है? You need my help. पता है क्यों? इसलिए कि आपकी टेक्स्ट बुक में भी नहीं लिखा हुआ. तो हम ये करते हैं कि we actually tell the students, we take actually points from the mark scheme और उस तरह से फिर हम समझाते हैं कि
what would I say for the photolysis? Like how is the breakdown हो कैसे रहा है?
Will say अब आप देखो, एक तो आप सिंपली कह सकते हो कि the
water
water
is split into H
molecule
plus and OH
splits,
minus. वो तो सबसे easy mark है.
ठीक है. And then you can also say that when the water is split, this is the way of providing the electrons to photosystem 2 जो constantly lose हो रहे हैं. ठीक है, यही हो रहा है ना, water क्यों split हो रहा है? The logic behind the splitting of water molecule is so
To
that the
replace
electrons
the
which are
electrons
lost
that
by
are lost. Okay.
हाँ, ठीक है. Now look, this is the answer.
Okay, wait. Let's say
And
समझ आ गया. So water is split into H plus and OH minus. It is water is split into H plus and OH minus to be able to replace the electrons that are removed from the photosystem 1 or 2, whatever. The OH then breaks down into oxygen and water. Okay, wait. And then the H plus is then used to form an ATP. Say it.
समझ आई? अच्छा,
I
अब
got
इसमें जो
it.
ये पॉइंट्स है ना, ये वाले कि water is split into H and OH, and electron is removed from OH, and then OH breaks down. These were not in your book. So what you do is you just add it to the maybe to your notes. या फिर मैं ऐसे करूँगी कि I'll add it.
Yeah. Okay. So
Notes में
water is
नहीं
split
add किया.
into H minus to be able to then the electrons that are lost in the photosystem. OH is then broken down into oxygen and water, and H plus is then is used to form reduce NADP, and that is pretty much it. Sorry.
And the last point says that if a student is writing down a correct balanced equation of this reaction, then you can get a mark for that as well. So then this should be your equation. Wait a minute. अगर आप ऐसे लिख रहे हो, अच्छा इस equation को ना लिखने के बहुत सारे तरीके हैं. किसी टेक्स्ट बुक में जो है 4 water molecules दिखाए हैं, किसी टेक्स्ट बुक में 2 water molecules दिखाए हैं. So if it's 2 water molecules, you're going to show it that they are splitting into oxygen and an oxygen molecule and 4H plus ions. बहुत सारे इसके तरीके हैं, right? So you just stick to one method. कि इस method पे आप stick कर लो, right?
Exactly.
And again, I'm going back to the question. So this should be your answer. अच्छा, इसका third question भी कर लें. तो third है वो भी important.
Yeah, मैं
ठीक है,
देखा
अब
था
आपको
question.
जाएगा. हाँ, third question था. Yes. How is ATP formed in the chloroplast? How is ATP formed? 4 marks. First,
Okay.
think about the answer, and then I'll share the marks.
How is ATP formed in the chloroplast? In the chloroplast. Achha, so basically what I'll be talking, miss. So basically what I'll be talking about जब from X to photosystem 1 transfer हो रही है electron transport chain से
Yes.
उधर ATP जो बन रहा है उधर उसकी बात करनी है ना.
बिल्कुल. अगर देखो कहाँ ATP बन रहा है, यहाँ बन रहा है ना.
हाँ, miss, from X to
ATP is being
photosystem
made
1
in
ना.
cyclic also and non-cyclic also. Do you agree to this कि ATP is being made in cyclic as well as non-cyclic? पहले yes या no में जवाब दो.
Is ATP being made in cyclic and non-cyclic? दोनों में बन रहा है.
बिल्कुल बन रहा है. तो इसका मतलब कि बड़ी ब्रीफली, बहुत ब्रीफली आपको क्या करना है कि इस तरह से आंसर लिखना है कि 4 पॉइंट्स भी सेटिस्फाई हो जाएं और आप बता भी दो कि हाउ एटीपी इज मेड. सच काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस आर वेरी टेक्निकल. क्या होता है कि स्टूडेंट लिखना चाहता है, बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स ज्यादा होने लगते हैं, वो सोचता है कि मैं क्या पॉइंट लिखूं ना और क्या ना लिखूं, राइट? सो दिस काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस आर डिफिकल्ट. अब सोचो क्या लिखना चाहिए.
So basically, Miss, can I would start off with photosystem. I would start off with electron carrier X and I move on to photosystem 1 and then Y. And technically, I'd probably just focus in on cyclic. So if I start off with electron acceptor X, so our electrons contain energy, and then as they're moving along the electron chain, some of the electron energy is then used to pump protons across the thylakoid membranes into the lumen of the thylakoid, right? This will then create a proton motive force, which will then create an electrochemical gradient, and electrochemical gradient, which will then lead to the production of ATP by chemiosmosis. After this, ATP is, and then photosystem 1, and then that's fine. But Miss, what is the mark scheme?
Let's see the mark scheme. Mark scheme is more or less the same because this question is relatively easier than the previous two ones. So let's look at the mark scheme. Yes, same.
That was on my test. I think वो roots वाला जो question था ना, I think I've seen that before. अच्छा, reference to flow of electrons अगर सही है, reference to Higgs plus अगर सही है, promotive force सही है, flow of protons down the gradient. Okay, I missed this. Why the stock particle? Okay, I missed this point. Then production of ATP from ATP and PI सही है, cyclic सही है, non-cyclic सही है. So fine. So basically at the end I should just conclude it with talking about cyclic and then mention a non-cyclic has to do with photosystem 2 to photosystem 1. All I missed was the protons then move back into then flow down the gradient through the ATP synthase or like the stock particle basically. Sai, I got that.
So I think this is being recorded, so you can always listen to this recording once again also if you want to revise. Acha, the meeting time is ending, so I'm ending the meeting right now and we'll be starting, right?